Welcome back everyone. I'm going to go over the details for the upcoming competition happening on July 16, 2024, which features the fruit pie meta, a new item that's been added to the game and a pretty easy one to make. Afterwards, I will showcase a competitive fruit pie build to help you in this competition. As always, you can find the official information in the Common Ground World Announcements channel in the Gala Games Discord, and I have an invite link in the description. Competition will start July 16th and end 3 days later. Meta is to sell fruit pie. Trade time is 60 seconds and 1 gasoline per trade. We're going to be given a plains biome with a river on the north and east side and an ocean on the west side, with the south side being another plains. The picture that they provided us of the starting town is rotated 90 degrees, but this is what the starting town looks like. You do start off with a couple of wheat fields, 2 windmills, 2 wind turbines, a warehouse, and even the setup where you could potentially make your gasoline production, since we already have the 2 water pumps and a paved road and a fuel storage close to it. The cash boost for this competition will be flour, selling for 6,000 cash instead of 2,000 cash, and it seems like this is the only thing that's going to be cash boosted for this competition. And of course, fruit pie is boosted in stars, giving 50,000 stars for each one that you sell. The reward structure for this competition will be both the standard Gala rewards for reaching the top 1,200 placements in the leaderboard, as well as an NFT reward. If you manage to reach a certain position by the time the competition ends, you will receive a higher rarity effect card of this NFT. Even if you don't make it in the top 1,200 placements in the leaderboard and you sell at least 100 fruit pies, you would qualify for the uncommon version of the effect card. And the effect card reward for this competition is going to be the crafty candy shop. This will reduce the craft time of all the crafts in the candy shop and any relevant NFT candy shops, and this will stack with any other NFT that also reduces the craft time for those crafts. In addition to fruit pie being new, they have also added blueberries, which are grown in the blueberry field. The blueberry fields are very similar to the strawberry fields, however they require 3 passive water instead of 2 passive water, and their fastest craft time is 1 minute instead of 30 seconds, so you will need more blueberry fields than you do need strawberry fields. They are not impacted by shade, just like the strawberry fields, so it's convenient to have them close to buildings that do cast shade, and they actually don't need any wood to build them, unlike strawberry fields, so they are a bit easier to build. Just keep in mind that both blueberry fields and strawberry fields are still negatively impacted by both salty and pollution from buildings, also known as dirty. And fruit pie is crafted in the bakery. You can find this craft all the way at the end, just in case you need to scroll. And the craft requirements are 1 dough, 2 apples, 3 strawberries, 4 blueberries, and 1 sugar. Craft time is 40 seconds, and this is also stored in a storehouse. Now I'm going to get right into the build showcase. So this fruit pie design is doing about 59 fruit pies per hour. It's been running for 14 hours now. I'm going to scroll through the production monitor and then go over the main items used to make the fruit pies. So each dough requires 1 butter. As you can see, both dough and butter is at 64 per hour. Apples are at 118 per hour. I believe that is the bottleneck of this design right now. That's what's stopping it from going over 59 fruit pies per hour. Then I have a total of 193 strawberries. That's just about enough to get around 64 per hour. For the blueberries, I'm making 258. That's enough blueberries to get around 64 or 65 fruit pie per hour. And sugar is used for both the butter craft as well as the fruit pie craft, so you will have to make sure that you're making enough sugar for both of those. This is a simple design, easy and cheap to build. It's well balanced and it is cash positive. I'll begin by explaining flour, salt, and sugar production. I'm using 6 logger houses to collect the wood from 13 tree farms. 2 of these tree farms are being negatively impacted by 1 shade from this windmill, but it's fine. It's just for the additional wood. I also have have 10 farm tractors in charge of collecting all the crops that are required for this. I have 5 wheat fields and 3 sugarcane fields, and on the side closest to the ocean right here, I have 6 salt fields. They all have the 3 passive salty that they need to craft brine on the fastest craft time. I have a total of 42 windmills, 7 are on a green craft timer and 35 are on a red craft timer. 27 of them are making flour on a red craft timer. That's gonna be basically these 5 rows except for these 2. I have 7 windmills making sugar. 2 of them are on a green craft timer, and then these 5 are on a red craft timer. And then the rest of the 8 windmills are making salt. 5 of them are on a green craft timer, and then I have 3 of them right here on a red craft timer. The ones crafting salt are closer to this silo, which is the one that should be collecting all of the brine. And I have a total of 3 silos. The one on the south side over here mostly should collect sugarcane and wheat, and the one on the north side over here should be collecting the berries. I also have 3 storehouses. They're all going to be closer to the north side, so there's going to be 1 right here and 2 next to each other right here. For milk, eggs, dough, and butter production, I have 2 ATVs in charge of picking up the milk and the eggs from the 5 milk barns, and 1 chicken coop. The chicken coop doesn't cast any shade, that's why I have it right next to a windmill. And I also have 32 meadows for the animals to feed upon. I have 3 bakeries, 1 is making butter and 2 are making dough. And the last thing, of course, is fruit pie. Like I mentioned earlier, the craft requirements being 1 dough, 2 apples, 3 strawberries, 4 blueberries, and 1 sugar. I have a standard gasoline setup on the southwest corner, but I'm not utilizing any of the water pumps or fuel storage or the road they started us out with. I actually ended up shifting the water pumps 1 over, and the reason I did this was so I could have a power plant closer to where my windmill is, because the power plant's only going to cast 3 shade. If I were to use the water pump setup that we started with, I would be forced to have a refinery here which would cast 4 shade, which would negatively impact this windmill. So I did have to shift those water pumps over to make this more efficient. So as you can see, 2 water pumps, 2 power plants, the refinery between them crafting gasoline, the refinery to the east side over here crafting petroleum. There is no oil seep for this biome, so I am using 4 oil pumps, and I am using a forklift to collect that crude oil and take it to the fuel storage right here. The oil pumps are right next to the windmill, or close to the windmill, because they don't cast any shade. They cast dirty, which negatively impacts the animals, but they are not close enough to the animals to negatively impact them. For the trade setup, I'm using just the 1 trade depot to sell everything. This seems to work just fine. I do have an empty spot right here where I could put another trade pier or a builder house if I wanted to use it for that, but it works just fine with the single trade depot. 2 optional buildings here are the lumber mill. You of course need to make lumber to build everything, but you don't need to make lumber at the very end. And you don't need the warehouse at the very end either. That's just for when you need to make energy to build all these buildings. You could make energy using the power plant and then using the crude oil. Otherwise, you'd probably need to temporarily build a wind turbine to make energy, and you would want that wind turbine to not have any shade so that it can craft energy quickly. Now, there is also another open slot right here that I didn't do anything with. You could put down an NFT here, such as the Town Hall or the Hatchet Hank Jr., if you are utilizing any NFTs to further improve this design. If you happen to have an NFT that gives passive crude oil, you could place that in this spot, and instead of having the trade depot, you could build a trade pier on this spot right here. Here's what the auto trade looks like. I have the crafted items at a sell amount of 10 and the crops at a sell amount of 12. Here's what the build looks like on the visualizer. Total cost is 8 million, which is pretty cheap. You should get all the cash required to build this within 2 hours, I think, even without using any NFTs, depending on what you are doing for the cash rush. Wages are 11,620 per minute, so the wages are relatively small, and you'll have no issue paying those wages once you are selling fruit pies. This visualizer only contains 1 stage, which is the finished build, and you can find the file for this on my Discord server. Invite link to my Discord is in the description of the video. No NFTs are required to reach this production rate, and I'm going to share some tips to help you finish this build and improve it. So at the very start, they do want you to sell flour to get the cash you need, and you could do that considering that this build doesn't require a whole lot of cash. I would still recommend gold, especially since you are provided with a warehouse and wind turbines and a worker to pick up energy, and you do need energy to build the forges. I do believe that that's going to get you cash quicker than just selling flour wood, or you could do a mix of the two until you have all the cash that you need to finish the entire build, or at least start making some fruit pies, because from there you can get the rest of the cash that you need to finish your build. Now, to improve this build even further, you would want to increase the apple production rate like I mentioned. The easiest way to do that would be to build one more apple tree, probably replacing a tree farm in exchange for it. But the problem is, at least with this design that I created, if I remove a tree farm, I'm pretty sure there's not going to be enough wood for everything. I am barely overproducing enough wood for this. Of course, there's NFTs out there such as the town hall, which is the easiest one to get, that will reduce the craft time of your tree farms and therefore probably let you get by with removing a tree farm and adding another apple tree, therefore increasing your apple production rates and getting you to over 60 fruit pies per hour. So that would probably be the easiest solution, but that would require an NFT. I'm pretty sure that you could fit in another apple tree and still retain a good wood production on here by possibly replacing these two meadows for tree farms, even if they'll be on a red craft timer, because I do feel like there are more than enough meadows to make this work. It actually does produce more than enough milk for the desired 60 fruit pie per hour, and it produces 67 eggs, so that would be enough for 67 fruit pies per hour. I'm not going to go over every single thing again here, but if you paid attention earlier, there are roughly enough items to potentially make up to 64 or 65 fruit pies per hour if you could just slightly increase the apples and possibly the sugar production as well. And before I end the video, I want to talk about a piece of important news regarding one of the competitions that happened. So on July 2nd, 2024, we had our second guild competition, which featured the Starlight Market Box meta. The rewards for this competition were intended to be based off of how your guild ranked. So what position your guild ranked in would determine how much Gala each member in that guild would get. But there was an issue and the team could not accurately verify the scores of people in the groups. Perhaps, I don't know the exact details, but I think that they couldn't verify if some people were in some guilds. I think that was the issue. So instead of doing the guild reward, they're just going to do the individual rewards for players who ranked in the top 1,200. Now that's just one part of the issue. The other part is, as far as we know, the rewards were sent out, but they were sent out completely wrong. I don't know anybody who got the correct reward, and I believe that pretty much almost everybody got a lower reward that they expected, with the exception of very few people who got a higher reward than expected. Since most of the people who got a lower reward than expected, then they would have to contact either Farmer Michelle or the Gala game staff, and they're just gonna have to figure out how to resolve this. Now, I record this on Sundays and they don't really give any updates out during Sunday, so maybe by the time you see this video it's already been resolved, or it'll be resolved the next day, who knows. But as of recording this video, I haven't heard any more updates other than that, so I did just want to put that on this video so people are aware. Yes, you may have gotten the wrong reward. I do suggest that you at least put in a ticket to the Gala game staff, but since this affected pretty much everybody, I would think that they will fix it for everybody. Hopefully you found this helpful and informative. Please leave a like on the video, leave a comment, consider subscribing if you haven't done so. If you want to help support the channel, I have links in the description of the video on how to do so. As always, I appreciate your support and thank you for watching.